tell you that our engagements will be very constant with you, in line with the avowed promise of Mr. President to keep the Nigerian public informed adequately. In fact, just yesterday, to know how very efficient this method has been, the feedbacks have been that Nigerians have never seen this level of barrage of public presidential communication. And that is very encouraging. Of course, we thank you too for being the intermediaries, our ears and eyes to the public. So today's press conference is also fulfilling that promise of keeping the Nigerian public abreast of all government activities, plans, programs, policies, projections, and actions. And this evening, we had a meeting with the agricultural sector, stakeholders in that sector, because there's been a noticeable increase in food prices and all that as a result, understandably, or as a result of some of the policies, the necessary policies that have been executed in the recent past. And because Mr. President is a responsive person and runs a responsible government, he has a listening ear, and he's decided to respond to issues as they occur, and also to project and take preemptive measures, making contingency arrangements for whatever exigencies that will come. So, today I have with me leaders of the stakeholders in that sector, in the food sector, agricultural sector. On my left here, of course, you know the member of the Presidential Advisory Council, Dr. Doris Anite. Next to her is the Special Advisor to the President on Revenue, and the Deputy Director of the Director of the Central Bank of Nigeria, representing the Acting Governor of the Central Bank. And this is, on my right, the Special Advisor to the President on Trade and Investment and Industry. And next to him, of course, you'll also recognize the Acting Controller General of the Customs Service. And then our friend on the other side, on the extreme end, is a member of the stakeholder. I would like him to do a self-introduction.
Is to harmonize and actually in real time to cancel all those non-documented taxes that we have. And part of the discussion we've had in our interaction is that going forward, most especially on those trucks that carry food and all those items that are basic needs, it will become illegal for any state actually to continue building roadblocks to collect that. That's why we have the only person is Customs Services that is responsible to charge whether excise duty or import duty. So no other place in the Constitution is allowed to actually building those illegal roadblocks. And it is part of the plan of this administration to make sure that we would not allow such to happen, because it's part of those things that cause this inflation that we are trying to manage. Thank you.
This government says it's going to do away with the old ways of livestock business. So livestock business is holistic, whether herders, grazers, whatever, animal husbandry and all of that. Livestock, the herders engage in livestock business. So government is going to encourage a movement away from that old archaic method of livestock business into the modernized method, which is worldwide acceptable, and that is the establishment of ranches. Ranches, that's the name of the game in this world now, in the developed societies. In fact, it has a multiplier effect because it increases the yield and the value chain increases, rather than working animals thousands of kilometers, losing all the nutrients, losing all the required protein and all of that at the end of the day. So now, to ensure that this encroachment you spoke about, the government says it's going to partner with state governments. You know, states own the land according to our constitution. States own the land. So the government, the federal government will partner with these states for the states to allocate, sufficient lands. That is not also a compulsion. The states that are willing to allocate, but federal government promises to pay for those lands, the parcels of lands to establish those ranches. So that, in essence, resolves all of those issues, the issue of encroachment. And I also did mention that the agricultural sector, the food issue, according to the president, will now form part of the national security architecture. And that means that security will be provided, adequate security, to ensure that all our farmers are able to go back to the farms in an unfiltered manner without any let or hindrance, and this will increase output. So those issues are resolved in this statement. Thank you.
Interventions we have will continue to provide funding through the banks. So as of today, we have a sectoral limit of 5% for every bank on its loan book that they must lend to agriculture. And the marching order is that we should, ensure and force, those banks to ensure that smallholder farmers get this loan. So we'll take up this responsibility, and then we'll continue to ensure that, those loans get. And another directive that concerns us that the special advisor had mentioned is that will grains be released immediately. So the message is that middlemen who have kept all these grains, because we'll be releasing everything we have in stock. So the message is that middlemen and those who are storing these things to create arbitrage and get profits, this is the best time to release it quickly, because once we release those paddy and the maize that the central bank has, your prices will be depressed. So middlemen that have it, quickly release it to the market so that people can take them before we release ours, as he's mentioned and he has directed that we release immediately.
Speech. Part of the savings from the first subsidy removal is what we're using for this intervention. To answer to your question, the distribution will be free to the households and to the farmers. Thank you.
How much is a matter of detail. The distribution will be free. That's what she said now. And don't forget that when you are enacting policies, it's not all the I's and the T's that you release at the same time in one fell swoop. Now, we are giving out this information in principle that this is what government is doing, the intervention right now. Now, the cost, the distribution to households will be free. And she said there will be savings from the full subsidy removal that would be channeled into the agri sector. So that would also cushion the effect of cost. Definitely the cost may not necessarily be what it used to be in the past. So any slight reduction, even if it's 10 kobo, is a reduction and is a relief. But you are Reuters gone, you are not Nigerian. You was you are Reuters gone, so you're reporting for outside. Our internal affairs. The details will be worked out and you will learn about that later.
Maybe there will be for the most vulnerable families.
Free, while the elites, those who are well-heeled, the cost may be graduated. But those are matter of details that will be released in due course. Sorry? When they are out of the IDP, they will get their own.
I said earlier, the ranches will have a grazing reserve attached to it, because at the end of the day, the herders are also in the business of making money, of driving productivity. By having that grazing reserve as part of the ranches, you're essentially having a closed loop system so that they don't have to be roaming around anymore.